Welcome. It's your man God of Dots back with another episode of The Audible. Tonight's episode will be mainly focused on the Buffalo Bills as we continue our AFC East coverage. If you haven't already, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, all that good stuff. Thumbs up, thumbs down, whatever. Let's see. How you doing, Dr. Nick? How you doing? How you doing? Yeah, just regular old me doing my regular old thing in the quiet space. Oh yeah. If you missed yesterday's episode, really tore into the New England Patriots. And tonight's episode, we're going to really focus in on one of what I called one of my tier one teams. If you missed that episode, go out, check the channel. Plenty of content up there for you. This is one of my tier one teams, and what I mean by tier one teams is a team I consider to be what you would call the Super Bowl favorites. Have very few holes, but not that they don't have them, but they're not as fatal as my tier two teams. And Buffalo Bills going into this next season, it's got to be seen as one of the favorites, not only in the AFC, but it's also in the NFL. It was one of the better teams last year, coming off a relatively successful regular season. But postseason continues to be a problem. I don't think it's going to get any much easier this season. If they get to the postseason, barring major injuries at key positions. What's going on, Triggs? Oh, Jesus. Yeah, I'm in the quiet space today. Yeah. So let's go ahead and start breaking them down. As we break down each and every team, man, I always start with the most important position on the field, quarterback, and it's not much you can really critique quarterback Josh Allen on. Josh Allen is one of the very best players at his positions and is still young and is still getting better. Now, some things he can improve on. But for a lot of the season last year, he was in the MVP race because the team had a lot of success. He was putting up very respectable numbers, was winning the big games when he was supposed to. I expect much of the same from Josh Allen this upcoming season. Hopefully he does not lead the team in rushing as he did last season, which was a major problem and is probably the most concerning thing I see with this offense going forward into this new season. Yes, they added some pieces into that backfield. I think they're going to do some things differently schematically as far as trying to keep Josh Allen healthy for the long run, not just for this season, but for a very long time. One of the very best quarterbacks. You want to keep him upright and in the backfield as much as possible, but he can't be your leading rusher. Is very few. And not to say Josh Allen is not athletic enough to do that. With his size and frame, he's not going to last long term. I mean, it's cool now. He's young, but you don't want to put that amount of pressure on any quarterback to be the leading rusher. To not only be responsible for getting the passing game going, and they have a very good passing games, which I expect to get better once we start breaking down this roster a little bit. But I think Lamar Jackson's, going to pull back. We've seen what it does to quarterbacks when that much pressure is put on them to be a significant contributor to the run game. It doesn't bode well for long-term success for them at that position, i.e. Cam Newton, i.e. Mike Vick. It just doesn't happen. So I expect him to still, get out there and run, get out and scramble. But if he's your leading rusher again, I don't see Buffalo getting any further in the playoffs than they did last year. Now, when we're talking about the rest of the roster, like quarterback position is locked down, I don't think it's any discussion, any debate on Josh Allen being the starter. Now, when I was talking about the backfield, they did go out inside former running back for the New England Patriots, Damian Harris, to join that backfield. Do have James Cook in that backfield. I like the rotation. Nyheim Hines unfortunately went down with injury earlier this offseason. I think he would have been a spot on contributor. Was more important to the special teams than anything. But was able to, Nyheim Hines has gotten significant carries in the NFL, namely with the Indianapolis Colts. They did bring in Latavius Murray. So very diverse. Now, these guys are not dynamic in every sense of the word, but I think the three of them combined, and I'm pretty sure they'll probably sign a fourth running back to cover up for Naeem Hines. I don't expect that guy to factor very heavily into the running back rotation, but I think you can put a respectable running attack together with this team, especially with the offensive line, some of the pieces that they have along the offensive line. And we're going to talk about some of those in just a second. But I like the backfield. I like the combination of the backfield. Like I said, none of these guys jump off the page to you. None of these guys are like, wow, they're lucky to have them. And this offense is not really built along the running game, so it's not that big of a deal. But I think you needed more production from the running back position to kind of keep the stress off of your quarterback. Like I said, Josh Allen cannot be your leading rusher going into the year. How you doing, Ms. Murph? Welcome. With Bills are one of the few teams you actually like. I like the Bills. My tier one teams. It's not much to really pick at with the Bills, but I'm gonna do a little picking, but it's not really much to pick at. And I like some of the guys that they brought in, namely through the draft, a couple of guys through free agency. I namely like. Um, and as we move along with the positions, wide receiver is locked down. You have a clear number one in Stephon Diggs. Now the question going into this offseason is how happy is Stephon Diggs with his issues regarding contract and money. Um, will that play a factor in his production on the field? I hope not. I hope not. Stephon Diggs is one of the best. That is what you call a true number one receiver, a guy that can go anywhere and be a number one receiver. That is a true number one receiver. Now, the guy that's slotted in at number two, Gabe Davis, had a very good year last year. In certain situations, certain teams, he could be looked at as a number one for those teams, but he has clearly solidified himself as a number two and then a very good number two receiver. I think him and Diggs complement each other, similar in some ways, but where they differ at, they complement each other. They complement each other very well. Now the rest of the wide receiver room, yeah, it's okay. But then again, when you have a very good number one, you have a very good number two. The number three can be kind of a rotational guy. I think Deontay Hardy is the guy for me. I expect to kind of break out and push for that starting position at number three, but it's kind of up in the air. You can make a case for Khalil Shakur to play the number three, but it's not really that important, especially with this offense. Especially like I said, Stephon Diggs is clear number one. He's going to get the most of the targets. Gabe Davis established himself last year as a very good number two wide receiver. He's going to get a lot of those targets. And reason why I'm saying the number three position is not really that important because you do have two very good tight ends. One they drafted, one a guy they already had in house. Tight end Dawson Knox is clearly the starter, but I do like Dalton Kincaid, and I'm not gonna lie to you, as a Cowboys fan, I was hoping they would draft Dalton Kincaid. If the opportunity fell to them, I ain't gonna lie to you, I do like Dalton Kincaid as a tight end coming into the league. Very fluid in the passing game. Like I said, the number three position in the wide receiver room is not gonna really matter. Was Dawson Knox got a lot of targets last year. I expect Dalton Kincaid to contribute, especially in the two tight end sets that they can run to kind of get that running game going, to get the play action going. Josh Allen is a good enough quarterback when we're talking about running the play action game, when he has a respectable um, backfield behind him to kind of get that going. I expect the tight end position to get a number of those targets. So, like I said, wide receiver room, one is locked down, two is locked down, three, you can put anybody in that position. I think they'll be successful. And it's not going to be any pressure on the number three receiver to really be a heavy contributor to the passing game because you got two good tight ends. Two good tight ends. I mean, it's not much to really critique on Knox or Kincaid. They can be a little bit better as far as run blocking and pass blocking, but that's like nitpicking. That's really nitpicking. And when you look at the offensive line, it's not much to really pick at. With this one, probably if you're going to look at the offensive line, probably the most questionable position is right guard position. Now they did bring in a guy in that I loved coming out of the draft, guard from University of Florida. Go Gators. Okay. Guard coming in for the University of Florida, Osiris Torrance. I really liked him. Very big, physical, athletic guard. Another guy I was hoping, that would kind of fall, to my boys at the right price, at the right price. But it did happen. Did happen. But he's kind of penciled in right now. As starting right guard is probably the only questionable position. I like Mitch Morris. I think he's okay as a center. I do like Deion Dawkins. I like Spencer Brown at the tackle positions. They got a little depth there with David Quisenberry. I like that. Connor McGovern has really kind of come into his own, and like it's not much to really critique when we're talking about the offense. I think when you start talking about the question marks, fatal flaws, um, and I spoke about that yesterday when I was talking about the top three teams in this division. Offense is not really the fatal flaw that I see with the Buffalo Bills. Is the defensive side. If all works out well, they're going to be one of the better defenses coming up again this year. But Father Time has a way of slapping you in the face and really giving you a reality check. When you really break down the defensive side of the ball for the Buffalo Bills, let's be very clear. Let's be very clear. If Von Miller is not at 100% ready to go out the gate, this defense is just not the same defense. Von Miller, even though he is up there at age, is still one of the better pass rushers on the edge. If Von Miller is not ready to go and be 100% for the entirety of the season, I don't see where else on the defensive side of the ball this team creates pressure, and this team works best when they're able to get pressure, especially with the front four. This is not really a team that is known to be a blitzing team, and we're going to talk about some of the pieces along that linebacker core. But Von Miller is the what they call it, the straw that stirs the coffee for the defensive side of the ball. You saw last year when he went down, defense fell off of a cliff. This wasn't the same defense, even though have very good players at key positions, have talent at a lot of those positions. But when you have a Von Miller who demands so much attention on the edge as far as the pass rusher, like I said, still one of the best pass rushers coming off the edge, even at the advanced age. I want to say Von would be 35 this upcoming season. When you have a player like that, he demands so much attention. It makes it easier for the guys on the opposite end, on the edge. Makes it easier for the defensive tackles to kind of get up the field a little bit. Von Miller is the key for me, and I'm not sure. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not sure he's going to be able to make it through a season. I don't know if Von is going to be able to make it through this season. Like I said, so much pressure is going to be on him. I'm not sure where he's at physically, really at physically, and you're not going to really know until the bullets start flying when the season kicks off first week of September. You're not going to really know. Like I said, it's a lot to like. It's a lot like. I do like defensive tackle positions. Laquan Jones, I think he's a very good run stopper. Ed Oliver has been kind of I'm not going to say a disappointment. But Ed Oliver has not been as good as advertised. Very highly rated defensive tackle coming in out of college. I thought he was going to be, kind of like, I'm not going to say Aaron Donald. I'm not going to put that kind of pressure on him, but I thought he was going to be way more productive considering his athletic traits at the defense position. It just hasn't clicked. I mean, they did bring in Poona Ford, who's spent most of his time of his career with the Seattle Seahawks. I do like him as part of that rotation. Like I said, it's a lot of guys to really like. But if Von Miller is not 100% and he's not ready to go for the entire season, this defense is just different. Like I said, you have talent on the edge. You have Shaq Lawson in the rotation. You have Greg Rousseau in the rotation. AJ Espinoza has never really kind of taken on since he got drafted by Iowa. But Von Miller, enhances that defensive line, enhances the play along the defensive line. And when we talk about the linebacker core, they do have a very good linebacker, one of the best linebackers on the outside, and Matt Milano, more of a coverage sideline type linebacker, not really known for getting after the quarterback. He's not really a guy you want to see in the edge rusher position. I'm curious to see who's going to really take over that middle linebacker position that was vacated by Tremont Edmonds. Edmonds, if you don't know, signed with I want to say the Chicago Bears. Very athletic middle linebacker, was kind of like the guy that was used in some of those blitz packages when they did blitz. I'm not sure. I'm not sure who kind of takes over the position. You do have some young players, Tyrell Dodson. I haven't seen you guys haven't put enough on tape for me to really be confident in that linebacker position. I think Tremont Edmonds was a very big loss for that linebacker court, and especially for that defense. Now on the outside, the backs, the back part, we talk about the secondary, still have a clear number one, Tre'Davious White. Kyer Elam was a very good number two, played well enough to where he could be some team's number one cornerback, more of a press, short zone type cornerback, not really the burner, but never was the burner, coming out of college anyway. I do like him. I do like Taron Johnson also in that nickel cornerback position. And then it's not to pick at, the secondary. I thought the secondary, they kind of missed out on the opportunity to bring in some young pieces. Now, Jordan Poyer and Michael Hyde do make up one of the best safety tandems on the back end of the defense, but these guys are getting older. They do have Taylor Rapp, who's never really kind of taken off since he's coming to the league. You have DeMar Hamlin. If you are a Bills fan or not a Bills fan, you remember him having that cardiac arrest attack on the football field late in the season last year. He's been cleared. Hopefully, pray for the young man. Hopefully he's able to continue living his dream out in the NFL. But I mean, you got question marks at that position. You got question marks at that position as far as like the backup. Like I said, Poyer and Hyde are one of the best tandems back there. Very smart. Can diagnose plays a lot easier. They have the experience of doing it, but they are older. They are older. I think if you're not able to get pressure, coming off the edge with Von Miller, if he's not able to enhance the play of that defensive line, and you're dependent on that secondary to hold up for extended stretches throughout the season, I think you're going to be in trouble. And that's what I'm talking about, fatal flaw. We'll kind of get in that later on this week when we talk about the Miami Dolphins. We'll kind of get in that when we talk about the New York Jets. Like, it's a lot to like on paper. It's a lot to like when you look at the roster. You can say, hey, I can see Buffalo in the Super Bowl. But they have a fatal flaw. But, it's always that but. And with them, it's not really on the offensive side of the ball. Sure, guys get hurt. You got to factor that into a team's success. But Von Miller is an older player. He's coming off of an injury. What is he going to look like coming back? Will he be the same Von Miller? Let go swag out. How you doing, Gator? I was just talking about one of your guys I wish I would have drafted in Osiris Torrance, big guard out of Florida. I wanted him. I ain't gonna lie to you. I wanted him on my offensive line. You guys drafted him. I mean, you guys, he got drafted. I'm kind of missing out on that. Well, like I said, it's a lot to like when you look at the Buffalo Bills. A lot of talent on both sides of the ball. I think offense is going to be okay. I think with the addition of Damon Harris, bringing him over, I think he's going to be rejuvenated, playing behind a much better offensive line than he had with the New England Patriots. I think Josh Allen is going to take a kind of step back from that role of being the leading rusher for a team. Like I said, if you're trying to have long-term success, it's very hard for your quarterback to be your leading rusher. Now, if you wanted him to be part of the rushing attack, that's fine. But he can't be your leading rusher. You can't be your leading rusher. You kind of saw Josh Allen kind of wear down as the kind of season went on. As we start getting to the real meat and potato of the schedule when we're talking about November, December, I think, like I said, Josh Allen's going to take a step back. I do like the addition of Damian Harris to the running back room. It's going to allow this offense to be better. I think the play action game would be a lot better. I do like Dalton Kincaid, tight end that they draft. I do like him adding to the mix with a Dawson Knox. It's going to be a very tough team to really guard in the red zone, much more than they were last year. I think they got better on the offensive side. Where my concern is on the defensive side, Von Miller, his health, and number two, probably for me, who steps up to replace Tremont Edmonds. Edmonds was one of the better middle linebackers at his position last year. Who steps up? I mean, they have some young players there, some guys that they drafted. They do have some young players there. Who steps up into that role? And is Von Miller? Like I said, if Von Miller is healthy. If you told me the Buffalo Bills was your Super Bowl pick, I wouldn't be mad. I wouldn't be mad. I literally wouldn't. Um, Out of the three teams in the division, and I'll pick my division winner on Friday when I break down the Miami Dolphins. I'll give my final prediction for the division winner. I'm almost tempted to say it now, but when I look at the New York Jets, it's a lot to like. When I look at the Miami Dolphins, it's a lot to like. But with all three of these teams in the top part of this division, it's fatal flaws. And who has the least impactful fatal flaw is kind of going to be the determining factor for my pick. Like I said, if you watch this division last year, at times the Jets looked like the best team in this division, and that was with a crappy quarterback. At times last year, the Dolphins looked like the best team in this division, even with an injury-prone quarterback. Even though Buffalo ended up taking it, it was times last season they didn't look that good. Even though being probably, you can make an argument for them to being the most talented team overall in this division. Like I said, I could make a case. I can make a case as much like I did last week with the NFC East. If you missed it, go check it out. I can make a case for three of these teams really getting into the playoff. I can make a case for three of these teams making deep playoff runs. It's just that fatal flaw, that question I have about each of them is I still, when I'm breaking them down this week, man, I'm still not really sure who I'm going to pick to take this division. Now, whoever I decide to take the division is not necessarily mean it's going to be my Super Bowl pick. You have to factor in the schedule, strength of schedule, stuff like that. How that plays out, who makes it through the season towards the end healthy. I think health played a major part this division last year. I think if Tua had stayed upright, you could have been looking at the Miami Dolphins as division winners. If Wilson had been able to kind of give them some kind of quarterback play, like you had a former Cowboy Mike White out there, beating this guy out for his job last year. The Jets, put together a solid enough season. They got enough of a resume, got enough on paper for me to really pick them. It's going to be a good one. I think this is going to be one of the better divisions in the NFL when we're talking about top to bottom talent wise. Like you really got to make a case for three of these teams could possibly make a Super Bowl run. New England Patriots wasn't. That's why I got them out of the way yesterday. And if you're a Patriots fan and you felt some kind of way about it yesterday, hey, hit the thumbs down, leave a comment, let me know how you really feel and all that good stuff. All right. Let me see. Is it? No, I'm not gonna do that right now. I'm not gonna do that right now. While I got I'm gonna start calling. I need to start really breaking down these shows. I'm starting to add a little elements like make like the last 5 minutes of the show like fourth and goal, and it's kind of like just do my rambling or something like that. Maybe I can do that. I'm always trying to add a little sauce, a little flavor to the show. I might think about putting something together like that. Fourth and goal as part of the Audible. Fourth and goal is kind of like just talk about just the news of the day from the sports world, and and whatever else kind of piques my interest. Whatever kind of piques my interest, and kind of go like that. We'll see. I may do something like that for next week's show. I'm still trying to figure out what division I'm going to be breaking down next week. I'm leaning towards doing NFC North and kind of get those North divisions out of the way for the next 2 weeks. I'm thinking about doing that. I'm not sure, but we'll see. I mean, it's a lot like when we look at it, man. Oh man, I love football season. Love football season. But anyway, let me kind of get up out of here because I'm rambling and I ain't really got no notes for this. And I hate to just be rambling because I be sounding incoherent at times. As always, remember, like, share, subscribe, man. Appreciate everybody that comes out to attend the shows, catch it on the replay, whatever. It's all love. I appreciate all the support. Thank you for you know, keeping me going. Like I said, I don't need many. It's not that kind of a channel. Yet it's not that kind of, but we're gonna get there. We're going to get there. We're gonna work at it. We're gonna get there. One way or another. And I'm gonna keep it clean as possible. Keep it clean as possible. Let me get up out of here, man. I'll hit you with a phrase that pays over here. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, but every time you learn. And I'm out.